Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dominic, because you're in the chat for sure, but good morning, everybody else that's watching, or I guess afternoon. It could be any time of the day, really. But welcome. So, a few things. It's winterish now in Canada-ish, where we are. So, my furnace is running. I turned on some noise compression, so hopefully it sounds okay. If it doesn't, let me know, but I think we'll make it through that. But yeah, welcome. Good to be back for me. It's been a few weeks. Greg's away today. He had a previous engagement that took him out of town, so it's me. But I hope that we can talk about a few kind of topical things coming up here. But to start with, I'm going to do something we always do here. So I'd like to thank all of our Patreons for your support, for your kind support, and how's at the top there, Tree supports, but everybody else on the list too. You make the wheels go around, pay for the website, the subscriptions that we need to like just keep the basic stuff going here, and we sure appreciate it. So thank you so much. Good morning, Gary T. Oh yeah, Greg's not here. See, that way. See, he's not here. I pushed the wrong button. Here we go. So, a couple things we're going to talk. I had on the list today. If you guys wanted to chat about anything too, of course, throw it in the Q&A or the questions, comments. That's what I'm looking for. The comedy thing on the side of YouTube there underneath. We can talk about it. The Discord is open too, so if you have any links or anything you want to throw in the Discord, and spoiler alert, you might want to today. The topic today, there's two of them. But one is, what the heck do you get your 3D printing enthusiast for the Christmas word coming up? And I know some of you might think it's a little early, but I think it's the sweet spot right now because this is the last stream before Halloween. And then we're going to go into like every retailer on the planet stocking their shelves for Christmas if they haven't already, right? Which is fine. It happens, right? Sometimes it's a little soon for some of us, but so please, if you're in the Discord community from being a patron, you can throw any links and stuff in chat in there, and we can definitely take a look at it. I think last week Greg talked a little bit about the print general stuff, so we won't touch on that, but if you see anything else that you want going on in chat, yeah, just let me know, and then we can look at it. So the first thing before we get to the Christmassy stuff here is going to be a little bit of it's going to be a review of printer, kind of like security best practices at home with your printer. And I know, so on this channel we've talked a little bit about like, you know, using a Raspberry Pi as your print controller or another microcontroller. And I could ask the question, how many people use Raspberry Pis, or how many people use Raspberry Pis with Clipper? How many people use Raspberry Pis with Octoprint, right? And it's something that's getting more and more popular for sure as we move into like automated printing, and that's not what it is, but it's more of like remote printing, right? You want to print from your desk, and if you haven't seen the videos on so we did one on Raspberry Pi turning into Octopi, and then we did one on Astro Print in your Octopi, right? If you use Clipper instances, the controller's kind of similar. You can use actually Octoprint with Clipper, or you can download like the Clipper instance you want on your Pi as well. I don't know if I have them right here. No, I took them down when I wrote my test, but that's okay. Right, so Clipper has its own set of like requirements, right? Instead of having like an onboard controller, you can use touchscreen on a Pi, and that interfaces with the web page on the Clipper controller. Octoprint is a web page controller for Marlin, right? So we talked about that stuff too. But when we think about security in our printers, lots of us would, well, like for me especially, I like to print remotely, right? Like, so if I'm at work and I want to print something for me to be ready at home, I don't know, whatever it was I was printing, I would very much enjoy, and I do, spoiler alert, I do this. I like to send the print job from work, because then I don't have to like write a note down to, okay, remember to print, remember I got to do this when I get home, right? I just do it, and it's great. So how do we secure our printer, right? And does anybody do any remote printing? Dominic, Gary, you guys do some remote printing from home or anything of that nature? Just curious. I'm not trying to like put you on the hot seat here. I'm just wondering, okay? Well, we stew over that question very briefly here. So, remote printing at home, do you do it? I just wanted to give a shout out to actually a designer on Thingiverse. He's like a newer designer I found, but he made this case, and this case is special to my heart, and probably a few people's that have to carry insulin pumps around. So you can see it has like the little clip and like a sleeve to hold the insulin pump. And I want to give him a shout out because I break the the clip that comes with the silly pump often, and then I have to wait for like the replacements to come back. And finally, I didn't have to model it myself, so that's one really good thing. But two really good things is this actually works really well. It's an example of something I wanted to show though on Thingiverse too. So huge shout out. So thanks to so it says Joe P. Welling. I think that's what the name is here, but it's a great design. And then the other thing is you could see how like the model on the picture is kind of broken up. If you were to download the OBJ of it, so these blue guys here, you're going to run into a bit of a problem because there's actually no faces attached to it. So that's, that's one thing. But on Thingiverse, if you see 3MF, it's a really good option. And I'm going to bring up, I still have this file downloaded as an example in a bit once we finish the Christmas, but I just wanted to give a shout out now in case we don't get back to it. So thank you, sir, for saving me some time, money, and being able to carry my life-giving device with me as we travel. So that's kind of what I wanted to shout out. Gary T says, I need to donate to Octoprint. I see they're making a call for donations. Yeah, so I mean, Octoprint is it's open source, open platform, and a lot of times people are just giving their time to development, right? Like they're just jumping on. That's clear when you log into Octoprint and you can look at like where they are now versus where they were before, which is like a huge way. But like there's also the like the plugin libraries and stuff. Lots of people work on those. Now those are separate from like that call for donation, but like I know Gina and their small team, and it used to be just her, like do a lot of work in Octoprint, and it's great to support these things. Right, like I don't know if you guys have seen kind of where it's going or where it's been, but like there's lots of skinny options now for Octoprint. I'll show you my. This is one that I enjoy to use. So this is my Octoprint instance. It's pretty good, right? Go away, you. But you can see like everything looks different. The sign-in bar, right? And that's because there's like, what is it called? UI customizer. And I think I talked about it before, but UI customizer's in there. So Octoprint's a really good cause, especially like if you use it. Just throw a little bit of, a little bit of green their way, and it'll help out a lot. So let's keep reading. I got a few to catch up on. I have Octoprint running on a Pi. I'm retired. I don't go anywhere. Hey, that's fair. That's fair. The Pi 5 launch may help Octoprint a bit. So here's the thing. Yeah, it could. But like, you could still run Octoprint really, really good on a Raspberry Pi 2, right? Like, Octoprint itself doesn't need a lot of horsepower. It's pretty simple. It's sending serial commands over the USB, right? And then it runs a web page. So, like, as far as the printing process goes, you can run that off a turnip. But like the web page itself, if you like that snappy feeling, getting like for example, I have a Raspberry Pi 4 that I use for Octoprint, the one I just showed you actually. But that Octopi or the Raspberry Pi, I should say, is also running like 4 other big services for me. So it's not just running Octoprint. And so that's where like the Raspberry Pi could shine, or 5 could shine, because it would be safe to run like Octoprint and like PyGuard or AdWire, or you know, to have that DNS redirect for ad blocking. That's the words I'm looking for. So let's see here. Oh, I didn't think about skins. Yeah. Skinning and theming is actually really good now. That UI customizer, like, highly recommended, because you can like well, here, let me go back. You can like drag and drop all this stuff in the menu here. So just go full screen again. Go away, top screen. Nobody likes you. Hold on. Boop. There we go. So if I go into my settings here, and then I can go plugins, and I could do UI customizer, you can see you can change the theme, right? So that's one easy thing. But the layout, so I can like, if I don't like my connection on the left side here, I could be like, well, why don't we put it on the right side? So now my connection will show up over on the right side. So if I hit save, and it'll spin for a second, then I can click close, or it closes. And now you can see that my connection's over here, which actually, you know what? I kind of like that, because it lets me see more pertinent information. So now let's say that, you know, you hate the state on the top. Like, we see state once and that's all we care about. So I'll bop back in to the plugin settings for this plugin, right? And then I can change the state, and like, let's put it underneath on the files right here. So I'll hit save. Once it saves, it should close automatically, and we'll see that the state is now underneath. And look, that's way better. UI speaking, I always use my files. I rarely use my state, right? So there's lots of like customization, and that's again a skinning thing, and you can find the people that made that too from the skin. Pi shortages probably hurt Octoprint. So yeah, when you made something like so Octoprint was originally designed for the Raspberry Pi, obviously, but there's some good news. We're out of the Pi shortage. Raspberry Pi 4s are now back to regular with quotes pricing, right? So you can get the 4 gig for around $100, and then the 2 gig for just under Canadian dollars. So that's probably like $80, maybe $70 US. And the Pi 5 will help that shortage. There was lots of other boards that came out, like La Potatoes and other, like Big Tree Tech released a Pi-ish thing that tried to help with that shortage. Help is the wrong word. They tried to take advantage of a hole in the market that existed. So, but that being said, I just want to pop in and show you a website, and this website is not to be how do you say it's slow, so I'm just waiting for it to load on the side here. But like, this website exists for checking vulnerabilities. That's a nice way of putting it. In home networks, and like, Well, what it can do is it can search for a program, right? Or a use. And so I'll throw it up here right now because it finally loaded. And again, like this is all above board. It's open source. There's nothing crazy about it. Some of you might even have seen it before. I know our friend Stig, who I hope to see soon again, has used it in the past. But so this is called Shodan, and what Shodan does is it indexes web pages. And I searched for Octoprint, and then you go, and so you can actually search by region. Hey, Helge. And such when you talk about Octoprint. And so like if I click United States as an example, because hey, boo, log into use filters, they changed that. That's okay. So yeah, there is a paid version and such, but you can see as an example, the University of California in Santa Barbara, USA is running Octoprint, and it's being forwarded through open ports. So like Shodan was able to scan and find Octoprint and say, hey, this is the public address of it. It's advertising over port 80. So when they installed it and follow our video, they did not use 443. $63 for an Pi with 4 gigs American. So there you go. Thanks, Dominic, for checking. So that's we're back down to like finally regular land for Raspberry Pis, which is great. So you can see that like lots of them have port 80 open, and as we go down, like some of them will have 443, right? So if you're not familiar with how the internet and web browsing works, port 80 would be anything that has like HTTP, and 443 is HTTPS. Now there's a few more ports, but that's kind of what we need to know right now. But you can even see like check this one out in Austria. It's hooked to an Anycubic Viper. And so like it literally is broadcasting like all the information. Now I do believe if I click on it, you have to be signed in. Oh no, you don't. So you can get more information by clicking on it and see, where it is, what domain it's like advertised on, and all that great stuff. So that's where I'm going to leave kind of Shodan, just to show you that there's a need to secure your Octoprint when you're setting it up. Now, we'll flip back to Giant David screen here. So how do you do that? Watch one of our videos called Astroprint, the best plugin for Octoprint, is one way, because you can install that and then just use Astroprint as the mechanism to save the G code that you've sliced somewhere else to your printer, right? There's Spaghetti Detective and a few other ones that can give you inwards access as well through an API call. So those are a few ways, like just through API call, that people couldn't be like, oh look, there's a printer sitting here, right? If you're going to use your router and port forwarding, if your ISP allows it, or you have a router that can do it, right? You can do it over port forwarding. You can use non-common ports and then shut down host scanning on that firewall. And unfortunately, that's an hour-long topic in itself. So it's more than an hour actually, but there's a couple ways you can actually secure your printer, and I think it's important to talk about that when we come into the Christmas season, or the gift giving, right? When we're buying a printer to give it away, we want to make sure that we set up our friends for success, right? We don't want them to have a bad experience. And there have been cases where people have logged in to those Octopis from like a website like we just talked about, where like you can see the camera for one thing, right? Which is terrible. Hopefully it's just pointing at the printer, right? But it also would let them control the printer, right? So they could inject some code that might make your printer self-destruct, right? Or they could put something on your Pi that you don't know about, and then you're part of a botnet, right? So the escalation path with securing the Pi, especially, and Octoprint, it's there, and the devs for Octoprint have done great things, right, for Octoprint and Octoprint security, using it like by default. If you download the image, they use a proxy, which is awesome, right? So and then obviously the other option is just use a VPN into your home network, and then you can access your Pi, so you don't actually have to advertise anything. So, and that one's pretty easy on most routers these days. There's a button that lets you download like a OpenVPN file. So that's kind of the security talk here, like that I wanted to get across anyway. Just kind of going in, we want to be mindful, we want to think about it. So that's kind of where we're sitting with that. Now the fun part. As the title suggested before, the secure part was, what do you get for Christmas for these guys, right? And so one thing that you could get, and we just talked about it, would be if you have a 3D printer enthusiast in your life, Raspberry Pis are a good gift. They're solid, right? And like Dominic said, if you're down in the States, it looks like the Pi 4 has come in around $63. And I do know that the Raspberry Pi 5 said it was releasing, I think, in October here. So that one should be out fairly quickly. And it offers faster processing and a little bit different port options as well, with a better graphics rendering. That's what I want to say. So it also provides better USB, better MIPI mapping. Say that 5 times. But yeah, it should be great, and it will be out soon. But honestly, the Pi of choice that's so I want to compare the Raspberry Pi 4 and the 5 at the 4 gig kind of price point here. I'm doing it in Canadian dollars because I'm in Canada, but so in Canada, just to put it in perspective, it's $20, roughly $20 more to get a Raspberry Pi 4 than it is in the States. I'm just gonna find my actual pricing. So bear with me. I'm gonna bring up on this website that's usually pretty good. Raspberry Pi 4, 2 gig, 4 gig, yeah, 4 gig. That's what we want. So Raspberry Pi 4 in the 4 gig, which is probably a good midline for us to use it as a 3D printer. Like I said, my 4 gig Pi 4 is running a ton of stuff. So it can definitely handle Octoprint or AstroPrint, and then like PyGuard or anything else you're going to run. It handles that video streaming really, really well. So if you're running plugins to access your printer and view that streaming video, it's gonna be great. But Pi 4 is 76 Canadian. So to match Dominic 63 US, so that's kind of an idea. So we're about $13 difference in US. So when I say $76, just take away $13 or so. And then that's what the US is. And that's the only conversion I'm doing, because I know we got a lot of viewers in a lot of other countries, but obviously we do Canadian here, and then US is good. So the Raspberry Pi 5, which is still in pre-order, okay? But it's $83, so it's about $10 more than the Raspberry Pi 4 gig. One notable difference, like just from the board configuration. So I'll just bring up this this website here so we can see. One notable difference is that the Raspberry Pi 4, you can see that it still has the audio header and then on it, so you could still plug a headphone jack output or some other digital media output from the audio there. But the other thing is it's gone here, right? So we do lose the audio, which is meh, whatever. You still have dual HDMI headers, USB-C power, so that's the same, but you can see that the chip configuration is different. The other big difference is the way they render port speed over the Ethernet is actually true speed, so gigabyte is possible now. Just like the Raspberry Pi 4, the Raspberry Pi 5 does offer PoE, except you have to put the PoE header on it. So there's a little like daughter board that sits on the top. So when you're looking this holiday season for gift number one, I would say this could be on the top of your list. If your loved one doesn't have a Raspberry Pi 4 yet, or a Raspberry Pi, don't get hung up that the 5 isn't out in your area. The Raspberry Pi 4 gigabyte is still a great choice for Octoprint and a great choice in general. And keep in mind, the builds for Raspberry Pi, especially like when it comes to some of like the OS builds like RetroArch or Picade, or those kind of things, RetroPie, and sometimes Octoprint, they do lag behind the development life cycle of the new board coming out, because with the new pinout means that they'll have to change some of the config files and stuff for the Pi for it to work. So number one, Raspberry Pi. Be kind to the person you're buying it for, and remember, try to find out what printer they have so that you can get them the right USB cable to hook to their printer. Ray says something that's hidden beside a comment. Hold on. I'll get it, Ray. Don't worry. I'll read it over here. I've been using the 4 on my Voron for 5 months. No problemo. Yeah, exactly. I added the O, by the way. It's full disclosure. Ray said problem, not problemo. Yeah, the 4 works great. And the 4 will continue to work great. In fact, the 3 works great. I have one Raspberry Pi 4 in my Octoprint suite, and then the other 7 are all Raspberry Pi 3. So, do I still have a 2? I think I got rid of the 2. But regardless, the Raspberry Pi 4 will be a great option, and it is available. If you do get the 5, if it comes available in your area, it might be worth buying it just because it is the new kid on the block. But it won't. It's not the breaking deal point. So Raspberry Pi 4. The other thing, once you are kind enough to buy a Raspberry Pi for your 3D printing enthusiast, would be perhaps a nice little additional webcam. So as we know, the webcams, right, that watch our prints through Octoprint, they mount to the side of the printer somehow. And I kind of turn to stuff like this a little bit. So let's here it comes. Boom. So this Logitech C270 is a really nice choice. It's small form factor. There's actually lots of models that fit the little tail flap there, so you can actually mount it to the front of your printer, and it's a great addition to your printer. It's 720p, so when you're looking at your Octoprint window, usually like the video size is actually just a little bit bigger than this picture on the side. So 720 is going to be great. As you can see, it's on sale somewhere for $9. So this camera is a good choice. So it's the C270. The nice thing about Logitech cameras too, in general, is the camera has a serial number that gets broadcast to the operating system with it. So if you wanted to run multiple cameras, you can actually address them easier by that number, by the ID number, than having to like port map and such. So the Logitech 270 is a nice choice. And if you want it to be really nice, super nice, for a 3D printer, this is probably way overkill. But I do use a few of these C920s in different formats on the 3D printer. The module in this camera and the other one I just showed you have been same for like 20 years. They just keep updating the skin of the camera. But you can see this one's about $100, and there's no sale pop up right now. Overkill surely for a printer, but you do get 1080p streaming. So if you were going to be wanting to there's channels on Twitch that just live stream their printing, that would be a choice. All right, let's see. I was using a Raspberry Pi 3. I found the Wi-Fi was not good enough. And yes, I agree with Raymond. So to put the statement back in context, we're talking about Raspberry Pis again. We'll switch back from the webcam. So the Raspberry Pi 3 does have not as good as a Wi-Fi chip. In fact, there's an antennas you can buy for them that will increase that. But for me, they're all in the same room, and I'm not worried like as the wireless router. So everything's pretty strong, so it never was a problem. That's a big one though. If you do struggle or your printers are in like a concrete cave of a room, then you probably want to look at getting like a 4 would be good. And honestly, the 4s are what you're going to be finding. I can't think you'll find a Raspberry Pi 3 very easily with the 5 coming out, although you could still find Raspberry Pi original zeros, so maybe they'll be available forever. So Raymond's mentioning that Creality has a 1080p camera for $35. And it looks like he had some firmware stuff to work through, which is interesting. I'm going to see if I can find it. Is it just a Creality camera, Ray? Maybe if you pop the link in Discord, I can throw it up for everybody. But yeah, it does look like there is K1 cameras from Creality, $32. K1 AI, because everything is AI these days, as we know. And then it's like this one is specifically for the K1, but it looks kind of cool. So here, it's just like it's a little camera, 1080p time lapse. It looks like it hooks into the K1K specifically, but as we all know, we're 3D printers, so where something's designed to go, it doesn't really matter to us. We'll just make our own part and put it on whatever we want. I'm not sure how AI it would be. People love to use that word when stuff's not actually AI. It's a buzzword right now, right? So machine learning is AI, but writing a script to take a picture every 10 seconds might not be AI. Or if a layer comes, that's not AI, right? Just saying. That's my hair to split there. So camera is good. So 720 is great. You can spend about $35. This if I get the link for the Creality one, I'll pop it up in the stream here too, just so you guys have it. But around $30 is what you need to spend on a camera for a 3D printer with the Raspberry Pi. So if you're feeling super generous for around $100, you can give them like that whole kit. Or you could just buy the Pi and the USB cable. Again, be nice, buy the USB cable. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, like gift wise, like it's if you really like people, but like when you look at 3D printing in general, the cost of 3D printers has come down a lot. And if Greg was here, he'd make fun of me, okay? Which is fine. I'm okay with that. Somebody has to keep me in check. So when we look at printers, there's one printer that has been a gift in the giving range. All right. So nothing too expensive, nothing, outrageously overpriced or overfeatured for that matter, but a solid printer to get your go on. And you guys know where this is going, I'm sure. But I just want to show you this link. I know you know where this is going, but I'm showing it anyway. Be ready to be surprised. The Creality Ender 3. And it's not an Ender 3 Pro. This one is not the Pro or anything like this. This is just a Creality Ender 3. This is the original one. Okay, this Ender 3 is the one that has like the not 2020 underneath. Right? It's the 2010. It has that 2010. It has the single rail, right? This is the Ender 3. Now, obviously you can get an Ender 3 Pro, which has a little bit better, but like you can see, like, check it out. Like these printers are, oh goodness, probably 6 years old now. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But the Ender 3 is a very old platform. The CR10S before it is fairly old too, but we keep building on these platforms. So I would argue that an Ender 3 printer, or like there's the Cobra, I think it's called, from Anycubic. There's a few others that are similar to this form factor if you didn't want to buy a Creality. These are perfect gifts for people just getting into Steam now. So Steam used to be science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and then we added an A. So and the thing, and Ray is correct. So I'm gonna say Ray's comment out loud here. I just did this to search them up to be kind of agnostic when we think about the companies and such. But like the price on Amazon is out of whack, guys. It's higher. Find a good reseller locally to you. Ours is Spool, and you'll see the actual price that you should be paying. So Raymond mentioned that like you can get the Ender 3 V2 SE. See what they did there? They added more. And that's the thing with the Ender 3 platform. They just keep adding more letters to the end of it now. So like the V2 was the one with the silent board. Then the V2 Neo had leveling, and like it just kept going and going and going, and they still go. So here is this is kind of like the newer bench or platform, but yeah, you can see that they're on sale for $269. Is this actually Creality.com? Yes, it is. Good. Always make sure that you're on Creality's website, which is Creality.com. There's lots of fake Creality sites that, and then you get not what you want. So this one you can get it for $269 Canadian, which will be even cheaper. Can I change it US? Hello? There you go. So in US dollars, it's $188. Okay. So the Ender 3 platform, I would always suggest looking for the end of the alphabet soup. This one's just a Neo. This isn't the SE that we were looking at. Why did it go away? But this is the SE here. And you can see it's closed in. Lots of the stuff that was a problem to give it as a gift before, right? Like it had open hot ends, open extruders. They've really done a good job trying to change the cooling ducts and fans. You can see that this is direct drive as well. So your filament path's constrained, which means you're giving a gift that can actually like print flexible filament and do a little bit more. Now, Raymond, correct me if I don't. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that extruder is all metal. I don't think that one is all metal on this one. You'd have to upgrade the throat. But it does come with a lot of the features that we're looking for in a printer. And it has worry-free auto leveling. I don't know if those words go together, but it has it. Definitely has it. So gift number the fourth, I guess you could call it, because we mentioned three things with the Raspberry Pi, would be a printer. And the Ender 3 is a very good starting point for printing. There's an interesting video that one of the folk I follow in Australia, Maker's Muse, he made it. And the title's a little misleading. It's a little clickbaity. It's like, this isn't the best printer, but is it? I don't remember the actual title, but it's along that line. And basically it's saying that no, let it go away. The Ender 3, it might be long in the tooth, but it's the most expandable printer you will buy, which makes it one of the most versatile. On a side topic, because I scrolled over something, would anybody like to see some videos on the Falcon 2? I happen to own the Falcon 2, and it works very well. We've been using it for, oh goodness, probably 6 months now. And I really like it. I don't know what interest on our channel we have for laser engraving and burning and etching and that stuff, but it is a robot, much like 3D printing. So would anybody want to see kind of like some laser engraving videos and review maybe on on the Falcon, just out of curiosity? Question mark. And we shall continue with the presents, the what you buy. So you can see there's lots of Ender 2s, or Ender series printers. There's lots of CR printers. So if we were to go to the CR10 SE, you can see that like Canadian dollars, it's 269 for hey wait, it didn't switch. Hold on. I was like, that's wrong. No way. There we go. That's better. It's $500. It's $500 plus 50. Don't pay attention to that. It's for the CR10, which is the bigger platform, basically, right? It has some other features that I think they use on the other hot end too. I think it has a ceramic heater in it, I want to say. But at any rate, it has lots of features turned on in Marlin, and Creality was probably the first printer manufacturer to like take Marlin features and market them as their own, right? Oh, we have print failure detection and auto restart and thermal runaway detection and all that stuff that Marlin has been kind enough to add in. They took credit for, and they're not the only ones. Lots of companies will be like, oh look, we have input shaping, right? And then lots of these printers do come, if you look hard enough, they'll come with like a clipper version now as well. Those K1s come to mind. So you can see like what's offered in the printer. There's their hot end assembly now. So it's changed quite a bit from what we originally think of the Creality printers. So it's a new platform. I love the CR10 platform. You can see that this one's also, let's get that. There we go. You can see that this one's also direct drive, which is great. So we can see this movement away from Bowden tube. Now, not to say you can't get them, but we all know the advantages and disadvantages of Bowden tube printing. And there are advantages to it too. So you do lose a little bit of, how you say it? You lose a little bit of your filament compatibility when you go to Bowden tube. Bowdens are lighter on the hot end, so it can move the head faster. That's, a few of them. That's about the list too. So that's kind of, yeah, like I said, that's like list number 5 or 4. Let's just say 1, 2, 4. The next one, and I'm going to show you the one on the Creality site here, but you can pick many different versions of this depending on the person's printer and tinkering skills. So the next one is some sort of control pad for Clipper printers. Clipper's getting huge. I think Greg mentioned to you guys we're going to start our Clipper next week in November. So we're hoping to have like that series go mid-December kind of ish, and then we'll have like the contest information out next week too. So the screen itself is a controller for Clipper, right? It'll control the printer. Like I said, Clipper uses that web interface to do most of the control stuff, so you don't actually get like a physical serial boop 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 controller. You use one of these guys. And so like I said, there's a few different renditions. I wonder if this actually shows us the ports on the back, because that's what I'd like you to see, but I don't know if it does. You got USB ports. Aha! So like there's kind of like your connectivity stuff in the back, so you can plug in sensors, USB. This one's not bad, honestly. Ray, did you have luck getting this to connect? I know you're struggling with that one printer we were talking about, but it's fairly good. The other thing you can do for your friends if they run Clipper is just go a little bit simpler. Now this depends on their tinker factoring, okay, but you can get a Raspberry, I'll type it, Pi, yeah, this touchscreen kit. Lots of these exist. I think the one I ordered was from Big Tree Tech, and it works fine I ran Octodash on it, which was it's kind of like a web UI for Octoprint, and then I didn't have to worry about like having that connection on a computer. I could do it right from the screen. I liked it. I took the Pi screen off a while back and just went back to regular Pi because I needed space. So, ooh, looks like the stream's buffering a bit, guys. Sorry. Let me know if it hiccups. But the next thing on the list here is going to be this guy. It's a Pi screen. So we had like the Big Tree Tech or the Creality Sonic pad. Big Tree Tech makes a similar pad, all in one, ready to go. You buy, you plug it in. And we all know that's actually not the truth. But hey, that's what you're supposed to be able to do. But this is a Pi touchscreen. So this lets you mount it to the Raspberry Pi. Let's see if we have, there it is. So there it is, I said there. So you can see the Raspberry Pi mounts to the back of it, and then the little ribbon cable, the serial cable, goes out to the monitor, and then you can plug it into the board, and then you can get like an interface. So your interface could be Raspberry Pi, it could be Raspbian, the OS. It could be Octodash, it could be Clipper, right? But so you can see the price difference though. So do-it-yourself solution is a Pi. So if you're giving them a Pi, you could add this for $80. Or if they have a Pi, you just buy this and it's $80. Or as we discovered, the US is about $20 difference right now. Instead of what, like $200? Let's call it $150 because that sounds good. So this is about half the price, and then they can tinker a bit. Big Tree Tech does have okay instructions on this on their GitHubs to how to hook it up with different OS and such. So should be a good gift. So that's gift number 4 or 5. No, hold on, I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six ideas. Now the other one is, it could be obvious, which it might be. But obviously you can give filament, right? And when we're looking at PLA filament for our printer friends, most commonly it's going to be 1.75. Polymaker, Greg mentioned it, I think week before, but I like Polymaker filament. I like Airy One filament. And I also like this filament. So I do like filament from Spool 3D, which is branded filament from them. So it's actually Spool 3D filament, and they have some pretty good color matching. They have some interesting filaments, and it's high quality, right? That's one thing you need to avoid. So by the way, we're not sponsored by Spool. I just like their filament. We're not sponsored by any of these people. I like the products. So Spool filament, Polymaker, they just came out with like they come out with newer, like greener, right? Like this one is like they're switching their filament rolls from plastic to like wood or cardboard. This one particularly is like a very nice, it prints almost like wood fill if you like it, but there are many Polymaker filaments out there, and they're all very, very good. I've been printing Polymaker probably the longest of any filament, and that includes PETG. So like, I know you guys have favorites. If you want to throw some up in the chat, let's see what you guys are using. But filament, so filament's an easy one to buy your 3D printer enthusiast. You just need to know what one. Be wary of brands that are super cheap on Amazon. Don't believe the reviews, unfortunately. Lots of these companies, so example, Airy One reached out to us many years ago now, and they will send you a roll, and then but you have to pay for it. And then once you do a review on Amazon, we'll send you money for it. So like I bought it on Amazon, and then I did a review and sent me money for it. And then they did another one, and it wasn't that good. And I said that, and they're like, well, we can't give you money, right? And so you can't, some of these reviews aren't accurate. So I think going by brand is probably the best. And like I said, Polymaker's really a good brand that's not going to break the budget either. Like there's Polyalchemy, which is great filament, but it's expensive. But it's really nice. If you're in the States, it's cheaper. There's like why can't I remember? Protopasta. I love protopasta filament, right? But it's expensive too. But Polymaker and I'm going to say Spool are my holiday choice filaments of the year. So Spool filament, again, PLA, PETG, ABS, great stuff. Like to print it. They have some good options in the TPUs as well. And then they do carry the dual filaments, and I think I have a triple one too. But like, they're the ones that can print two colors at once, so the filaments split, so you get this cool like dichromatic look while you're printing. Lots of fun filaments out there. And when you're looking at filaments for gifts for Christmas or the holiday season or Thanksgiving because you're awesome or whatever, Gary T says, I just picked up some Matter 3D. See how it works. I've heard it's good. I've never used it, so you have to let me know, Gary. But I've heard Matter is pretty good. Is it the basics one, or was it the one above it? I know they have like a Matter, the basics, and what they call it. But sorry, when it comes to buying filament for as a gift, look at something that's kind of out of the ordinary that might be a little more expensive. And what I mean by that is like me, when I go to like Spool and I need like a roll of filament, if I'm on a budget, like as a 3D printer enthusiast, I might just buy exactly what I need, right? Hey, I need just this basic matte PLA. That's it. That's what I need. But if you're in the shop and you see a roll, or like on Amazon, you see like, oh, you know what? This silk tricolor co-extrusion looks pretty cool. And I don't think I've ever seen them print it with it. And it's the 1.75, right? Like maybe pick something up like that, because quite often the enthusiast won't pick something up just because they like it. It's because they need it, right? Now, thankfully, my wife keeps our 3D printing filament alive with vibrant colors and many, many choices. She really loves the Polyalchemy stuff. It's pretty good. Oh, so you got some Petchy. Nice. Again, when you do print, let me know. I'm interested. I want to know how it prints. But like there's lots of so like this brand looks really cool, but there's 39 reviews and it's pretty cheap. And what happens with cheap filament is you end up with particulate in it, and that particulate actually causes issues, like you can clog your hot end. I don't know how many of you saw my video on replacing the hot end on your Creality 3 printer, but like, yeah, I put some fill through that was of probably questionable quality, I guess, but it just clogged the whole thing, and I just replaced the hot end. It turned out to be one of those things. But yeah, so like, don't filter by price, low to high, and be like, I'll buy them the low one. Watch out for stuff like this. Not that it, again, I haven't printed it, but like if I look at this and I see it says you can get 8 spools with 2 kilograms of filament for $39. Well, you know, usually a kilogram of filament might cost you $30. So I might not be getting the quality out of that, right? But again, if you buy your filament from a reseller, that's probably like a local reseller if you have one. So for me, that's Spool. There's a couple other in Canada that I've ordered from before that have been okay as well. But Amazon is a good choice. Like I said, I love Polymaker. I love Spool filament. And then the other one that we have used off and on is the matte filaments from Airy one at the time. Their matte filament was better than the rest, so we kind of used those. But let's see here. Raymond says, if I'm not using our filament, spoiler alert, Raymond's at Spool. Okay, I use Overture. Overture's great. I agree with that. Overture is a very good filament. It used to be the same as the Basics filament from Amazon, but I haven't seen Amazon Basics come back. But it was the exact same filament, just different sticker. Let's see if I can find Amazon Basic filament again. Nah, just Overture comes up. Oh no, Basics is back. So you can get Amazon Basics filaments for about $26 and it's great. So yeah, Overture, Polymaker, obviously like Spool for us local in by Calgary area is great. I'd be interested to see the Matter 3D. And again, like Protopasta is good. It's just, it's a little more money. And maybe it's uh like if you're buying just a roll, it might be something to consider because like in Canada, a roll of Protopasta goes for about $70. In the States it's cheaper because it's local to the States. But like, Protopasta, Polyalchemy, those other brands of filament are great filament. They're just a little more money. But yeah, I would say if you want to buy a good roll of filament on a budget for your friends who 3D print, we'll stick with I like Ray's Overture comment, so let's throw that Overture, Polymaker, and then like I said, like for me it's Spool, but whoever's closer to you would make sense. I'm gonna push a button. I'm gonna say a thing. Hey everybody, thanks for being here. We have a couple of our Patreons inside of the chat today and on the stream, which is great. Helge at the top. I did see Helge. I don't know if Helge is still here, but thanks for being chief support. But everybody else, thank you for being on this list. If you wanted to join the fun, it's 3D Make It, or sorry, patreon.com/3D Make It. We have a Discord that we run. We're going to be doing our Patreon chat, not this next week, but the week after, and then we'll have one more before Christmas. So you'll have access to that stuff. That's where we all just hang out and have some fun. But thank you for being on this list. Also, if you haven't taken the time to and you enjoy what you're seeing, maybe subscribe, check us out, 3dmakeit.ca as well for all of the links and stuff we talk about, firmwares and that kind of stuff. Before we wrap up, I wanted to do two housekeeping things. One, I already mentioned Ish, but I'm going to say it again. The contest information will come out next week for our Christmas contest, or holiday season contest, the time of the year contest. So be ready for that. Invite all your friends. It'll be great times. Usually it's some sort of design off, just FYI. So get your Fusion or CAD fingers ready for some fun. The other one was there was some conversation in the chat about moving the live stream time from 11 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And we asked everybody in the Discord how that sounded to them. And everybody seemed pretty positive, that it was an okay idea to move it from 11 till 10. So as an announcement, and it's great because I'm going to say something after this too, but as an announcement, the stream time will move to Sunday at 10 a.m. my time, which is 1 hour before it started today, which is ironically the original time of the live stream. So we will do our 3D printing church at 10 a.m. Sundays. The other thing is there's a time change coming. So for us, we change times in November. This one will make it actually like 1 hour earlier, which is great for continuity, right? So I think we fall back next week. I have to remember, but we'll let you know when that is in the Discord, and then just keep an eye on the actual YouTube alert when it comes out. And I promise that we're going to be better at going and putting the stream in the day before now, so that we can all have a little bit of forewarning. We just don't like it getting lost in the notification. Like, so if I make it too soon, it does go down the list, and eventually it will fall out of the list. So here's the fun thing. We're going to 10, and next week is the time change for us. So my brain has to really think about this. I think it might be at the same time. But anyway, we're going to Mountain Day Standard Time. Wow, that's great. So we'll be falling back next Sunday. So keep an eye on the listing. We'll make the YouTube live stream thing of the day before so that we can all get here on time. But we've reached the end. I hope that you got some ideas for some maybe good ideas for yourself if you wanted to buy a little, little hobby thing to upgrade your printing space, or for somebody in your life that's actually an enthusiast in 3D printing. But until next week, friends, parting is such sweet sorrow, but we'll see you in a week. Have a good one.